Welcome to the Lucidez podcast, where I explore everything, because I believe in the infinite, unbounded potential within each of us. This is Shelley, a fellow seeker and a lover of life's mysteries. I invite you to join me and explore your uncharted depths. Hello, my dear friends. I wanted to share a recent experience I had. It was a 10-day Vipassana retreat, so this is a silent meditation. It's based in a Buddhist tradition, very old, and people often say, well, I'm not Buddhist, or this or that, or this or that. And I say, you don't need to be anything but human in order to understand what I did. And what is it that I did? I would say that I sat with my storms. And that is a pretty powerful statement to say. To be able to sit with your own inner storms is really a stroke of genius, I think. Because sitting with your storms takes more than just determination and more than grit. It also takes surrender. It takes humility. It takes a willingness to be present to who and what you are in the moment. And to breathe it. To feel the breath, to feel the sensations, to be the moment. Not just in the moment, but to literally be the moment, to be life. So I want to share some things that I learned from this one that were unique from the others. And in case you didn't know, this was my 12th, which I cannot believe. This was my 12th Vipassana meditation. I've been sitting since 2011, so it's about one a year. And in this one, I learned something new about myself, which is not surprising to anyone that knows me, not surprising to me either, but I didn't ever expect it to show up in Vipassana meditation. So part of Vipassana meditation is sitting with your eyes closed for 10 to 12 hours a day, every day. And I say 10 to 12 because new students tend to sit about 10 hours. And older students sit about 12 hours a day because we sit during the discourses in the evening. So anyway, 10 to 12 hours a day sitting with your eyes closed. That's pretty intense. And it takes strong determination. And the teacher teaches this. It takes strong determination to sit for that long and be witness to and present to and experience all that's happening inside of you during those hours, day after day for 10 days. And I have over the years learned incredible determination. I have sat through all kinds of storms, as you can imagine, as well as incredible boredom. There were hours and hours and days, I remember in one of the sits where nothing was happening. I mean, it was just the most intense boredom I've ever experienced. So you can experience everything from storms to boredom to there are moments of beautiful tranquility and bliss. And what you begin to learn, obviously, is that all of these are part of being human. And learning to sit with strong determination through whatever is happening. And I've become quite good at it. In fact, I've become too good at it. One of the first messages I got at this most recent sit was that I am trying too hard. Those weren't the words. When I receive, I would say a message from soul or spirit, God, Allah, Buddha, Yahweh, divine, cosmos, universe. You can give it the name you like. For me, it was the messages are very simple and they're really without words. It's more of a knowing, and this knowing just came up and it was one word and it said, relax. Just relax. And I thought, relax. I mean, I have to be determined. This was on day one. I thought I got 10 days. I got to sit here. And it was like, relax. Just relax. And beginning to understand that it does take strong determination to sit with our storms and to discover and explore our inner selves. And at the same time, it takes surrender. It takes relaxed humility. And so this 10 days was actually more of surrendering into the humility of the present moment. And I say humility because more often than not, my present moment isn't what I wish it was. And I don't think there's anything wrong with my life. I think I have a beautiful life. I have plenty of challenges. I don't think they're curses. They just are what they are. But I often wish my mind, I should say, a part of my mind wishes my life looked different in many ways. And so the humility of surrender, the humility of relaxing into what actually is happening in the present moment is not as easily said for me as I thought. So I would practice relaxing, and at first there was this great relief. I was like, oh gosh, I don't have to fight so much. I don't have to try so hard. But it ended up being challenging in a different way. It was allowing, and then it was accepting, and then it was embracing, really embracing what was happening in the moment. And the embracing was not anything more than presence and awareness in a relaxed and yet strongly determined state. And as I come home, so now I'm home, finished my 10 days, and I begin moving about my life. And my goal in life is not to become enlightened like many people are seeking on this path. My goal is just to be a good human and try to be content with myself and with my life. So as I come home, I want to transfer what I learned on the cushion into my life. I want what I learn to become practical, everyday, lived wisdom. So as I've been moving out, I've only been home 24 hours. So as I've moved, but I have to say, when you are fully aware and present every moment, time, in a way, it slows down and it speeds up. So in the last 24 hours, I've had a lot of very present moments, and it has seemed like a long day, or I should say I've been given a lot of opportunities to look at the way I behave, the way I react, or the way I respond, or any habitual things that I normally do. And what I'm finding is I try so hard. I try so hard. And so in the last day, as there have been things that I wanted to happen and, kind of moved in those directions to get them to happen, and they haven't really happened. So I've been relaxing into a space of, I don't need to make these things happen. And that actually brings up fear. I'm afraid if I don't make it happen, it won't happen. And I don't know if it's necessarily fear, not fear in the way that's somewhat like terror fear, but, this is it. It's fear in the way of doubt. So the fear is more like a doubt. I doubt that something will happen unless I go make it happen. It's hard for me to believe that, or I should say it's a new way of thinking, believing, behaving, that the universe is working on my behalf, or is with me, that we are together in this, and that the things that don't happen are opportunities for me to learn and grow, as well as the things that do happen, opportunities to learn and grow. And I know there's a whole cohort out there right now, and I don't think they're wrong, but I think they're only looking at part of life. And that's this cohort, if you know maybe Joe Dispenza, Abraham Hicks, there's many out there, and they just say, create your life. Just create your life. Just think it, create it, do it. 100%. Like the way you think absolutely affects and is part of the act of creation and all that good stuff. At the same time, I think there's more at play. And I've said this so many times, so this podcast is for me to remind me yet again that what I think and what I say and how I behave, it all matters, and it all directs the flow and the course of my life. At the same time, there are so many other factors at play. I am not like the sole creator. Some people would say I am. And so far in my experience, I feel like there are other factors at play that are important parts of my experience here. And part of that is understanding that I'm not in control, but I play a very vital and important role. And I use the word play. I use the word play because so much of the last 10 days was learning to play with myself, to play with life, meaning when things got really hard, weren't going my way, I could often respond in doubt or despair or lethargy or apathy. And when I would begin to notice that, I would just sort of ask myself, is this the response you want to have? And first, the witnessing is really important to see ourselves. And then once I had witnessed and felt the sensations and the feelings associated with that, I would just relax into them. They would soften, they would dissolve, and then there was just a clearness, almost like a clearing of the slate, where I then began to manifest from a place of just awareness, presence, being, and allowing life, universe, God, any of those words, allowing it to also play a role. So this last 10 days was really beautiful, and so many lessons. I want to share the 3 messages I got when I got one each on different days, but only 3 throughout the whole 10 days, which was plenty. It's truly plenty. Because the first one alone, I think will take lifetimes. And the first message was be present. And it was so powerful. And I realized I was being asked to be present to every single moment of the meditation, but of course also to my life. And that is so difficult. And it's part of the practice in Vipassana is they ask you to be aware of the breath or the sensations 24/7. Meaning if you're not asleep, you are aware of some sensation on your body or you're aware of your breath. I mean, there's no daydreaming, there's no thinking, there's no creativity, there's no contemplating, there's no time for anything because you are present. So I was present almost 24/7. It was insane. It was very incredible. But it was so difficult to always redirect the mind back, come back. No, we're not going. Nope, we're here. This is the present moment. Be present, be present, be present. That went on a few days before I got the next message, which was feel the feelings. Feel the feelings. And that one turned out to be very fascinating in that oftentimes in meditation, a feeling will start to come up and if it's a feeling I don't want, so say I suddenly feel grief, and you don't always know why something's coming up, it just is. And a grief is coming up, or, this time there was a lot of anger, and I'm sure it probably had to do with the rape, but, I didn't tell the story, but feelings would come up I did not want to feel, and oftentimes I would just sort of push them away and go back to the breath. But with this directive, feel the feelings, when they would come, again, I would relax and I would soften, and I sort of allowed them to embrace me. Like I felt like they were in me and around me and surrounding me, and I was just a vessel that was holding and feeling them. And then they, again, would dissipate and go away. So then I spent a few days feeling feelings I don't want to feel. Feelings of anger with no story. Feelings of grief, again, no story. Feelings of doubt. Feelings of hatred. That was an interesting one for me. Or feelings of negativity. Like I could just feel this negativity, and I was like, what is that? And who is it toward? It was just so strange to feel negativity without a story. So feel the feelings. And then a few days went by and I got the final message, and it said, accept the reality. Meaning accept the reality, accept whatever is happening in this moment. Like accept it. Just accept this is this moment and this is what is happening. And that's actually, I got that on day 8. And I remember this one clearly because day 9 came, and I'd had an incredibly powerful, challenging sit, but it had all been just like barely manageable. Like I was working at my absolute best and doing my absolute best, and I was managing it all. And then it said, accept the reality, and day 9 comes, and it just overwhelms me. I start to have sensations that they're just like so intense. I can't feel them. My mind starts going just kind of crazy in doubt and chaos. And I was like, I can't focus my mind. And the message I've just received is accept the reality. And I thought, how do I accept the reality of this hour after hour after hour of not being able to quote unquote meditate properly? Meaning my mind isn't staying focused. It's everywhere. And I'm not able to even feel the sensations in my body because they're so intense. I just keep wanting to move. I can't sit still. And so in this moment of quote unquote failure, where I'm not able to do, what I'm there to do, I just kept knowing that I needed to accept this moment. Like, accept the moments in your life. It's like actually choking me up. I didn't get emotional at all that day. I don't get very emotional when I'm meditating because I'm so focused, but afterwards I can feel the deeper emotion. And just accept the reality of those moments when you can't do what you want to do. You can't do what you even feel called to do. In this situation, you can't do what you're quote unquote should do. I wasn't able to really stay present and be with myself and feel the feelings. But so my whole job, day 9, as it kind of all came apart, was just to accept the reality of, I can't do it. Like, it's too much for me today. And by the end of the day, when I crawled into bed after like 12 hours of this, I was so filled with doubt. I just was like, I think for 12 years I've done it all wrong. And it's just like, I can't even do this. Maybe I'm terrible at this and I shouldn't even be doing it. And just all the doubts. And so I got up on day 10, it's 4:30 in the morning, and I sat down and closed my eyes very, very tenderly. Meaning I was afraid to close my eyes because I didn't want I was afraid of the storm that had completely overwhelmed me. And it wasn't there. I closed my eyes, and day 10, it was fine. It was just back to the normal, but it did take me a minute to sort of recalibrate and be like, okay, that was just, again, storms passing through. Like, day 9 was just big, huge storms passing through that I wasn't able really to sit with in the kind of way I would like to. But I accepted it. So I've come home, and I'm doing my best to be present and to feel all the feelings of being home and to accept the reality. Like, accept how I'm feeling in each moment, accept what is happening, accept what isn't happening. And I've found myself to be I still am having emotional responses, and I can feel them to things that are happening, but I'm not reacting. I'm not reacting to them in the ways I was before this last 10 days. But I'm responding to them. I'm responding to them in ways that I have wanted to be able to respond. And it's really beautiful for me. I just feel very proud of myself for learning what to sit with so much in such a way that my mind is more balanced. And I want to play with that word balance, like a teeter-totter. So much of learning balance requires play where it's that strong determination and relaxing, strong determination and relaxing. And between those two, there's this balance this place of play where they're constantly moving. Like, there are times when I need more determination, times where I need to relax more. And so it's a play. It's a teeter-totter back and forth, allowing myself to respond in healthy ways to each moment by being present, feeling the feelings, and accepting the reality. Meaning, if I totally lose it in some situation, then I'll accept that and be like, oh, my mind was overpowered by that situation. I didn't respond the way I wanted. I reacted in an old way. Accept, breathe, come back to the present, begin again. So these are just a few thoughts. There were so many. There were times, I have to say, I thought of my podcast community too many times probably on this sit, where I was like, oh, this experience was so brilliant. And experiential wisdom is priceless. Like, you could listen to people talk about their meditations for the rest of your life and you would not really get any better. I hate to say it. Experiential wisdom is everything, as you know. I mean, think about who you were at 20. I don't know how old you are, but you're probably more than 20. If you think about who you were at 20, you could not have become the person you are today without living the experiential wisdom of life that brought you here. So there were moments where the experiential wisdom would hit so deep, and it was so beautiful and so profound. And I think, oh, I want to share this on the podcast. But then I would be like, oh, back to the present. And that is, I would say, one of the sacrifices of being in this intense meditation is that you're willing to let go of everything in order to be present, in order to retrain the mind to be present, in order to retrain the body to be present, no longer living in the past, no longer leaping toward the future, and allow the present moment to teach. Allow the present moment to teach, which of course is the only moment where we're alive. So I just wanted to share a little bit of that experience and encourage each of you to find a little bit of time to meditate, whatever that is for you, however it looks. But sitting down with yourself will always teach you more than anything you could read, anything you could write, anything you could listen to. You are your greatest teacher, and you have things to learn that other people don't, or won't learn in the way you learn, or may not even understand. So that would be my hope from this podcast, is that you take some time each day to sit with yourself, to be with yourself, to witness yourself, and to be so integrated with yourself that you can experience that moment where you don't embrace life, but life embraces and enfolds you. So I hope you have a beautiful day, and sending all my love. Thank you for exploring with me on the Lucidess podcast. It is my hope that you discovered new wisdom within yourself and are inspired to live your unique strokes of genius.